It's time for this week's episode of Brandon Sports Talk, featuring in-depth interviews from those who are trending in the world of athletics. And now, here's the host of Brandon Sports Talk, Brandon Pate.
Welcome back to Brandon Sports Talk. In today's episode, I have the flourish of interviewing the SUNY Brockport's head women's basketball coach, Coach Corinne Jones. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Can you talk about how you knew that you want to get started in coaching in college women's basketball?
Yes, I started coaching a girls modified team when I was in high school, and one of our recreation chairs volunteered me to do that. I think he saw something within me. So I've been coaching for a while. And then went to college and thought I wanted to be a doctor, but learned quickly that, I wanted to help people through sports and, be able to have a bigger impact, less of to see them for, an hour and then they go away. So more of the building, the empowering. So I just started from a young age and have always loved the sport of basketball.
What was that experience like for you going to college and getting to play collegiate basketball?
Yeah, it's hard, but it's super rewarding. We did pretty well while I was at Bowdoin, and went to NCAA championships, and we learn a lot through just having high expectations and working together as a team. And like I said, the sport was always something I loved, but now you had to balance academics at a really high level on top of basketball. But that's just really what makes me tick. I really love a challenge.
What was that like for you getting to represent Bowdoin and putting on that jersey for them?
Yeah, I still have it. It's in my closet. um, it's that kind of cliche saying of the name on the front is what you're playing for, not the one on the back. So, we took a lot of pride in representing the black and white, the polar bears. As many people make fun of me, that was my mascot, but we love our polar bears. Go you bears. But yeah, just a lot of pride when that goes on.
What was that experience like for you as a basketball player going to the Elite Eight and the Sweet 16?
Yeah, I had a big leadership role on those teams. I think once I became a sophomore, our first year wasn't the best. It wasn't really fluid. I think we at times were kind of checking boxes and saying okay, when is this over? But the work it took to get to those levels, as a player in practice and as a leader, that's what you're trying to do, right? So super rewarding and a lot of hard work.
Getting into coaching, what was it like going to Rochester to become an assistant coach first?
So I was a high school teacher, and then my college teammate, actually, she was 1 year below me, picked up the phone and said, "Do you want to get your master's? Do you want to be a college coach?" And I was like, "That sounds great. They'll pay for me to get my master's and I can coach at college at, a university similar to Bowdoin. Yeah, let's do it." So I learned a lot. That was my first college job. So, Jim Scheibel's still there to this day. He's still a mentor of mine. So that's where I caught the bug, so to speak. And I haven't left college coaching since I started. So I think it played a big role in why I am where I am today.
How was that experience like for you getting that first time head coaching experience on the community college level?
Yeah, so that kind of fell in my lap. I, was looking to move on after my couple years at Rochester because I'd finished my degree, and actually interviewed at SUNY Geneseo. Didn't get that job, but I got on campus and I was young and super passionate and excited, and ADs know each other. So the SUNY Geneseo AD called the Genesee Community College AD after Genesee Community College coach went to Geneseo. So, and she recommended me. So I'd never heard of junior colleges before. I'm from Massachusetts. Dean College was a junior college at the time, but I was like, I don't know if I want to be at a junior college, but I went on campus and I walked around and I was like, wow, this is a pretty cool concept, like come kind of get your second chance or like kind of prep school like that's what I'm used to in New England is prep schools and learned a ton on the job in terms of like developing a team and working with individuals and some of them had some serious trauma in their lives. So, being a role model for them. And I still talk to those players to this day.
How was that experience like for you at Buffalo, going to be this coach at a Division 1?
Yeah, so that was a big jump for me. And Division 1 has changed a lot since I was there. But I just learned a ton on the technical level, like how to do scouting reports and post player development. I learned a ton about recruiting. I think when I took the job, I thought Brianna Stewart, could come to Buffalo and play, and we all know what she's doing now with the Liberty, right? So I was like, that is not the player I should be looking at. So I had to figure that out and recruit at that sort of mid-major level. But lots of detail work that I did there is what I picked up from that stop.
What were some of the things that you learned at Niagara as an interim head coach to help you to make that transition back to head coach?
Yeah, so I worked for Kendra Foston at Niagara, and it was a great working relationship. Like I would, say I was kind of like her right-hand woman. But as an assistant, you're still, which was fun at the time. I just gave her advice and then I left for the day. So I think I had more of like a vocal role when I got to Niagara. I was able to run like more of the defensive scheme and at UB and Buffalo, it was a lot of detail work, right? But at Niagara, I did like big picture type of work. So I was basically, really getting myself ready to be a head coach. And with the help of Kendra, she brought me into those hard conversations and I was with her while she was like starting her family and had her kids. So she was a super great role model me for that. I had my first child like my last year at Niagara. So, balancing might not be the word, but, becoming a mom with someone who was a mom was something that really helped me, stay in the game and have a family and, be a mom and you can be a coach as well. So I'm super grateful that I was able to kind of learn how to be a head coach and how to balance being a mom too from her.
Coming to SUNY Brockport, what was that experience like for you becoming a head coach and stepping onto the court for the first time?
Yeah, I mean, I think I was ready, but they always say you're never ready. But I do think that year at Genesee Community College really helped me. It really gave me that experience, to make the calls and to slip up and make mistakes. I think the biggest thing I learned early on at Brockport was like how to build a culture. Um, and that culture takes work every day. So, stepping on the floor for the first time, like I said, I wanted it. I was like ready in a sense, but really learned, what it's like to really build something every day.
What was that feeling like when you got your first win as a SUNY Brockport head coach?
Yeah, I mean, I think again they were ready. I mean, they had some really we had some really great pieces. When I interviewed, I was like, we have three talented players right here that we can score with and guard with. So I don't know. I was really happy for them. Like they had lost so much. So the first win is like it's more for the team, like they needed someone to come in and really get winning back. It was there. It was at Brockport, and we just needed to sort of like I said we needed to CPR it. Like it just needed a little pump. So that was exciting to just watch those women enjoy that win. And then, when we got to our first playoff game and we won, one of my seniors was like in tears, like just crying. I'll never forget that. It was at Oneana, and I'm like, where is she? Looking all around, and it's like she's in the locker room, like just sobbing. So that's what I remember about winning early there, is just how excited the players were.
What are some of your routines and rituals like for you as a coach?
So I take pride in, as much as I'm like super energetic and passionate in practice, in games, I try to be calm, like, on an even keel. Cause if I go too high or low, the players just follow me. So I actually like stay in my office before games and like listen to Enya and like take deep breaths and do like a little visualization meditation. Um, I know the officials are glad I do that because I am still high energy, but I always do that before every game, and I find a space at away games to just like breathe, listen to my Enya. My old assistants are like, "Do you still do that?" I'm like, "I do." And then exercise. Like I try to work out before games, on game days at some point in the day, and try to like use exercise as a regular routine for me to um, be a better coach.
Who are some of the teams in your conference that you compete against?
So we just moved conferences. So we went from the SUNYAC to the Empire 8. So we're competing against St. John Fisher and Nazareth University, both in Rochester. SUNY Geneseo moved to the Empire 8 with us, so we'll compete against them. Houghton, Alfred University. I'm trying to see if I can name them all. Sage, Utica, Elmira, Cuca, SUNY Poly just joined. So there's 12 of us. I may have missed someone, but Empire 8.
What is that home game atmosphere like when some of the teams in the SUNY conference plays you at home versus going away?
We had our best home year last year. We had more fans. I always say that's a tribute to our players. Like the more, our players promote our game, the more people we're going to have. Women's basketball at our level at Division 3, we don't draw a huge crowd, but our crowds have been getting better. Winning ties to crowds. I think we have a great home court advantage. We have a great home court in general. Um, I don't know what it's going to be like to play on the road in the Empire 8. I've played at St. John Fisher. It's a smaller gym. It gets really loud. So, but we don't have to play there this year, unless it's a playoff atmosphere. So, SUNY games, there were a couple teams that had more populated gyms, New Paltz being one. That's always a place to play where it gets loud. But yeah, I don't know. It'll be undecided right now with how the Empire 8 is.
Can you talk about, of course, the culture that you started to build for the women's basketball program?
The culture you said?
Mhm.
So our culture is really centered around being competitive and resilient. And that's what I brought in when I started. And we, with the players, have evolved and grown our core values, with competitive, resilient, being accountable, having trust. And then we talk about being like prideful in our program, being grateful, and then having respect. So those 7 words right there are really what we do every day. We're constantly talking about them and, living them on a daily basis. So it's taken, I'm in year 10, so it's taken 9 years to build, and a little hiccup during COVID, kind of rebuilt after that. But ultimately, those centered around trust, those words are really what we're about.
What does that recruitment process look like for those prospective student athletes? And as a head coach, what do you look at in those prospective student athletes?
Yeah, so we're looking for those first 2 words, competitive, resilient. We want players from competitive high schools, like we love state champions, competitive AAU programs. We want their coaches and the people around them to say they love to compete. They're gym rats, they're blue collar. Those are all the words we love to hear. So, do they dive on the floor? Do they look their coach in the eye? How do they respond to mistakes? But it's an extensive process, and I think you're recruiting the parent more than ever too. So, are they saying the right things, and are they going to support um, their daughter when they get to us?
When when the players come on their official visit, what does that look like for those prospective student athletes visiting SUNY Brockport?
Yeah, so we try to have their official visit be mainly with our players because they're going to spend time with our players. Is it a fit? Do our players get along with them? Do they get along with our players? So they have already talked to us on the phone, text message with us. They've probably done an unofficial visit. I'm like, you know me. So at this point, you have to spend time with the players. So we just actually hosted a couple players this weekend, but they're going to like the women's soccer game. They're eating meals with the team. They're doing team activities, at night in terms of like, I know they like, we have phys ed majors. So like they play a bunch of games and just hang out with each other and get to know each other. So I think we make it a, peer experience. So they get a good feel of like who they'll be with every day.
As a head coach, what is it like seeing those freshmen put on that SUNY Brockport jersey for the first time?
It's super surreal. Like you spend so much time talking to them and like seeing them in it, and then it's like you're sort of like pinch yourself like wow, like our freshman class this year, our first year class, like they're so talented. I'm like, how do we get all of them here? Like, and we work hard, and I have great assistant coaches. But it's like again, like it's kind of like when I put it on at Bowdoin, like it's finally like we're finally at a place where I think they feel a lot of pride putting it on, and it just ignites me to see them in it.
What is that like getting to see those seniors put on that jersey for the last time representing SUNY Brockport?
It's the same feeling. Like, how did this happen? Like time is a thief, right? Like, um, it just a lot of joy, a lot of like memories. I always think back to like when I recruited them and just like stories. And we have our senior banquet right after their last game traditionally. Or if you make playoffs, that's when it is. But yeah, just the same thing, a lot of pride, a lot of joy. Sometimes there's tears, lots of smiles, but a lot of emotion, I think, when they have played those 4 years or two or one, whatever it is. But they put their blood, sweat, and tears on the court, and a lot of times they're doing it for their coaches. So yeah, lots of joy, pride.
So far as head coach, what have been some of the things that you've been able to accomplish so far?
So when I arrived, we wanted to be in the top four of the SUNYAC, and we consistently were finishing like 5, 6, or tying for fourth. So this past season, actually, we were able to, solidify a top four spot and host a playoff game, which hadn't happened in 15 years. So it was pretty cool. Like we left the SUNYAC, but like we were able to, put that product on the floor, and we had a group that really understood what it took to do that. Um, when you beat Cortland on your home floor and then Geneseo in an overtime game on senior night, like those are all great ways to end, the league that you were just a part of for the last 9 years. So,
What are some of your future plans for the program at SUNY Brockport?
well, we're headed into Empire 8, so we have high aspirations, and we got to do the work, and we have a great group this year, but we want to win a championship. So that's what we're trying to do.
What advice would you give those incoming freshmen entering their first year of college women's basketball?
Control the controllables, do what you can. Everyone's new, your coach, your teammates, play defense, sprint, talk on defense. But don't worry about scoring. That'll come. But just do what you're told, show up on time, and the rest will take care of itself as you learn.
What advice would you give those college juniors transitioning into being college seniors and leading the program?
Yeah, I mean, we expect our players to really lead themselves since the day they step on campus. So they're leading by example. But by senior year, you should be leading by example, and I should be able to hear you. Like that's the ultimate goal, is that you've earned the respect from your teammates and your coaches, and by your senior year, we can hear you. And I want them to own the program at that point. Like it's your final team. It's yours. I'll help you along the way. That's my job, but like make this your own.
advice would you give those players looking to go play in the WNBA or overseas?
So, our players at our level are probably not going to the WNBA unless it expands, beyond just that one team in California. But we have some players, and one in particular that went to Ireland to play. If that's what you want to do, then you need to advocate for yourself. You need to, say your goal probably your junior year, and we can help you get there. It's probably going to be a program where you're studying and playing. But again, like I said, I have sent a SUNY Brockport player to Ireland where she got her master's in business and did some coaching too. Great experience for her. So it can be done, but you just got to advocate for yourself early and make those connections.
What advice would you give those players looking to get into coaching after their playing career?
Same thing. Tell us you want to coach. There's a WBCA, which is our professional organization. So you want to be a coach program. I'm actually working with one of our seniors now. Her eligibility is out, but she's finishing her degree. I'm working with her to nominate her for that program. But it's a great program. You go to the Final Four, happens to be in Tampa, Florida this year. I hope, shout out to Tampa, but they just went through that terrible hurricane. And hopefully it's, put back together and everyone's going to be okay. But that's a sidebar. So, doing that, but if I don't know you want to coach, I can't help you do that kind of a program. At Brockport, we have a coaching minor. So I would, say take some classes, see if you really do want to coach. Some of my players stay on and coach with me as like grad assistants and get classes paid for, or I have connections. So again, you have to advocate for yourself and make those connections.
What advice would you give those future coaches and even head coaches looking to build their own program and build their own legacy?
Trust your gut, culture over everything. Sometimes we can get blurred by talent. We can just have those, the foggy goggles on. Work on culture every day and trust your gut.
That's great advice. Where can my listeners find you on social media along with the SUNY Brockport?
So we are on X, formerly known as Twitter. I'm on there as a head coach and my program is as well. We're also on Instagram. So you can find our program and myself there. During COVID, my team said I had to get an Instagram account. I was like, okay, fine, I'll do it. And then I believe we do have a TikTok for our program as well. We got to keep that up a little better. And then for everyone who still uses Facebook, we're on there as well.
Thank you again, Coach Jones, for your interview, and best luck in your future at SUNY Brockport as the head women's basketball coach.
Great. Thanks so much for having me.
You can find Brandon Sports Talk on Instagram at Brandon Sports Talk, Twitter at Talk_Brandon, and you can find me on YouTube at Brandon Sports Talk. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you again, Coach Jones, for your interview, and best luck in your future.
Great. Thank you.
You've been watching Brandon Sports Talk. Please feel free to like, share, and subscribe to Brandon Sports Talk on social media and on YouTube.